This is our video analysis of chapter 38 of Exodus. We're going to be analyzing my image choices in correlation with the scriptures. I've done this already with chapters 36 and 37. Go check those out first if you want to. Otherwise, let's not delay. I hope you get some meaningful insight from this, and let's dive
midst of it.
right in.
And he cast for rings for the ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards.
All right, so let's go back here to this picture. Let me straighten this out for you. Okay. And he cast 4 rings to the 4 ends of the gate of brass to be places for the staves. Here's the important part. And he made staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with brass. Shittim wood is a wood that is frequently used throughout the construction of this tabernacle, especially for like the various boards and different things. Shittim wood is used consistently. In a literal sense, shittim wood refers to the wood that you get from an acacia tree. So that's the kind of tree they were using to build the tabernacle in terms of what wood they were using. According to the Strongs, though, there is a root for this word, shittim, and the root of that word is shota. And what's interesting is that shota means to flog, right? It means to flog. So, and if you know what flogging is, we're talking massive abuse, like causing lacerations, a severe beating. And this is the kind of thing that Jesus received. This picture doesn't describe it very well, but he was beaten till he was unrecognizable. He had the far knocked out of him. He endured more abuse than most criminals who were being crucified would endure. He was just beaten senseless. And but yeah, basically he was flogged. And the fact that shittim at its root means to flog is, I thought, was very interesting and significant to what's happening here. Yet another crucifixion prophecy. We've definitely seen this before. Let's move on.
And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So, this is a bigger piece of significant imagery in my mind. And he made the laver of brass and the foot of it of brass. That part alone coincides with this, first of all, because the laver is it's like a bowl of sorts of brass, and it says later that they fill this laver with water, and that water is used for the washing of the high priest and his sons. So there's that, the cleansing, which is obviously significant with the cleansing that Jesus Christ gives us by his blood, and the just the cleansing that way, salvation from sin. And then more significantly here, we have where it says of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So immediately when I hear this, I think of the 10 virgins or the 10 women in the parable that were waiting outside with their lanterns, um, waiting to see the bridegroom or Jesus. And those who did not have enough oil in their lamps had to go and find some, and then when they came back, it was too late. Jesus had already taken everyone up. Basically, the message of being prepared and being ready for when Jesus arrives. And I thought that was some very significant imagery there, and it baffled me when I saw that in the scripture, just the similarity that it held there, that the women gather at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. That is to say, we, as the bride of Christ, are to prepare ourselves and wait at the door, which is Jesus, so that he will receive us. Very significant symbolism there, I feel like. And of course, as always, Jesus is at the center of it.
Silver, And for the east side eastward 50 cubits, the hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen.
All right. So, we included an extra picture before the actual picture that we're talking about because all of it's kind of in sync together. I'm going to go back through this. It says, and for the east side eastward, 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. This is the first mention of these measurements or these numbers when talking about the courtyard of the tabernacle. This is on the east side, and it mentions 50 cubits, and then the hangings on one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. So that's on one side of the gate, 15 cubits, 3 pillars, 3 sockets. It's not coincidence as we look at this math here. 50 is a multiple of 5. 15 is also a multiple of 5. And in order to get 15, 5 has to be multiplied by 3. So very precise measurement happening here, just talking about the complexity and the fine detail and attention to detail that God gives to his work. That's one thing to consider there, but I think the numbers are also significant. Going forward, looking at this next picture, this is on the other side of the court gate. Again, more hangings of 15 cubits, 3 pillars, and 3 sockets. So we have 15 being a multiple of 5 and 3, and then we have 3 being mentioned in the pillars and in the sockets. Just, I think, as a small reminder that while God is one, he manifests himself in 3 very specific ways, that being the Father, the Son, and his Holy Spirit. And all 3 of these are important. They make up the whole Godhead, and there is not one more important than the other, and these are not separate from each other. While they manifest in different ways and serve different functions, they are one together, making one God. And the importance of that, of the consistency and the power of just generally the number 3 is represented here. And God used that number obviously because, first of all, it's an excellent number for use in measurements, and also to signify that he is present in this tabernacle, and not just one way, but in all ways he is present. So just paying, this is kind of an homage to his divinity and his triune form.
And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass.
I know what you're thinking. Seth, you are literally focusing on pins now, pins being nails. It seems like you're grasping at straws here to find some sort of symbolism. Of course, there's going to be nails in the tabernacle. How else? What else are they going to use to hold everything up? Okay, fine. I'll give that to you. Of course, nails are going to be used. They're going to be used in all sorts of construction. And pins, according to the Strongs, are just nails. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. But when you consider what we've already looked through and the symbolism we've already pulled from, this is why you should go check out 36 and 37, by the way. If it is true that Jesus is the door of the tabernacle, and Jesus is the Ark of the Covenant, and Jesus is sitting on the mercy seat, and Jesus is the lamps giving light, and Jesus is every sort of thing represented in the tabernacle, and Jesus is represented by the blue and the scarlet and the purple and the shittim wood for flogging and everything else. If Jesus is in every aspect of this tabernacle, which I do believe that he is, then if the nails are going through the tabernacle, the nails are going through Jesus. And if those nails are holding the tabernacle together, the nails that went through Jesus' hands and feet could be holding together our salvation. With all that said, don't leave out a single detail and don't overlook anything as being too insignificant when it comes to Christ.
This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted, according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son to Aaron the priest.
Simply put, the sum of the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of testimony. Simply put, this is the completed and full work, the full and completed plan of God, the full representation of what God is trying to tell us, the full revelation of His Son Jesus Christ, the entire message of our salvation, the entire gift of our salvation by the works of Jesus on earth through His teaching, through His death and resurrection. This is the completion. This is the finished product, as it was commanded of Moses by God, as it has been handed to the service of the Levites, that is, the people in charge of the priesthood, that is us. All people who are called to go and spread the gospel, that is us, who are given the task to carry the gospel in our hearts and to be ministers to others. The Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son to Aaron the priest. We are a royal priesthood. This is our mission, and this is the completion of our story, wrapped up in one tabernacle. And at the center of it is Jesus and all of His divinity, and all of His vulnerable humanity, and in all of His grace and mercy and truth. This is the full and complete picture. All summed up in the building of a tabernacle, a holy place and a sacred place unto God, where the presence of God dwells. It is a beautiful story wrapped into one. And I'm sure if we dug deep enough, we could find almost the whole story of Jesus, of His work, and possibly of the Bible wrapped up into that tabernacle. Everything that's symbolized. This is the final moment, and this is what matters, with Christ at the center. That about does it for chapter 38's analysis. We learned a few extra good things here. Pretty much a lot of the same being centered around Jesus, but a few extra things. I especially liked the image where the women are waiting for Jesus, and in that symbolism where the women wait at the door of the tabernacle. That was a particular moment I thought was a special part. But basically, that concludes chapter 38. Again, I've got chapter 36 and 37 that you should be watching. It's just more good insight. This is about the completion of the tabernacle. There's only 2 chapters left in Exodus, and then Exodus completes. We're going to be looking at chapter 39 finally, probably tomorrow. And then, with all of that symbolism out of the way, we'll move right into Leviticus, get started making the scriptures there, and I will be talking over that with audio. So, really exciting stuff for the future. Um, Coming up soon. I really hope you've enjoyed this, and I guess I've got nothing else to say to you. I hope this was fruitful. So, with all of that said, God bless and go in peace.